Hey everybody, this is Grant Sims at Chief River Security. Wanted to do a quick video today on injecting data into access tokens. A lot of use cases where a back-end resource would like some additional information maybe on a user. Maybe they, in this use case, maybe they need to utilize an employee number or maybe a department. Rather than making additional network calls, we can stuff information into access tokens, and then the resource on the back end can actually validate that that information is true, and then use that information without making any additional network calls. The big thing to remember too is that resources deal with access tokens, clients deal with ID tokens. So a lot of times this information that you might require on the back end could be found in an ID token. But it's not best practice to send ID tokens to the resources to use that. So instead, we want to inject that data into an access token. So in this use case, I'm just showing that we have two users. Each of those users within Okta have a profile. This profile can be populated through various different ways. It could be manual, it could be coming from your HR system, it could be coming from Active Directory. But just know that the information in this use case has been populated. We're populating an employee number as well as a department. And then what we're going to do is use the Okta profile editor to actually map that profile information on a per client application into a value. And then we're going to take that value and we're going to place it in an access token dependent on the scope that's provided. So just to go over that one more time, user one has a profile. In there is information already set about an employee number and a department. We're going to map that via the profile editor to values, which are then going to be injected into access tokens per a custom scope here. And then as you can see on the far right, this is a example decoded JWT token where in fact the access token has the additional values now of department employee number. So let's flip over to Okta and take a look at this. So within here, let's first take a look at our users. You can see that we have a user one, user two. If we dive into these users, we can go look at their profiles and see the attributes that were populated. In this case, we have some statically set employee number as well as department. If we go over to the profile editor, we can click into each one of these applications and see what's been mapped. So looking at the client application resource developers one user, we can go in here and we can see that we've made some custom mappings here, some custom attributes, I should say. That are mapping the employee number, display name to a variable name here, string based, and it is custom. We can click into these to see exactly what has been set. So we've got the profile data there. We've got the mapping for this application. Now we need to go look at the authorization server to see how we actually get this information into an access token. So if we flip over to our authorization server, first, we want to start with a scope. We only want to send this information if requested. So we just made a custom scope here, pretty basic, just saying employee info, not much to it here. The next thing is the claims. So now we want to insert this claim dependent on that scope. So if let's focus on department first, we look at it. We have the claim will be named department in the access token. We're going to put it in the access token. Once again, this is going to a resource, a back-end resource that needs this information for some of its business logic. So we want to use an access token. The value type, we're going to be using an expression so that we can just pull that value out very easily by just saying user.department, as we are showing in the profile editor earlier. And we're only going to send this information when the following scope is access, which is employee info. Very similar for employee number, we're doing the same thing, just renaming it employee number, pulling out the value of user.employee number, and once again only sending it in the employee info scope. So now to our access policies. There's already been some pre-configuration to ensure these users are part of the Resource Developers 1 client application, and that this client application is allowed to interact with this resource server. However, we just made a basic rule here for allowing basically any user assigned the app can request any scope. You could specify this so that only certain groups or users could only obtain this information or request this scope. However, just for the simplicity, this is a basic rule allowing any assigned client to basically get any scope and any claim that corresponds to that scope. So now that we have it set, the first thing you can do without even having a true client in resource is just use the token preview. Awesome little tool here that they provide to see if your policies, your profile mapping, and everything is working correctly. So here we're going to type in Resource Developers 1. We're going to do the authorization code flow. We're going to search for one of our assigned users, and the scope we want to request is employee info. We can press preview token. We can see here that the scope was requested. It passed all of our access rules, and you can see that this information was injected. Now we can change our users and ensure that that information is reflecting the actual user. Now we're doing user 2, and as you can see, it provided the user 2's information from their profile. Now utilizing this and actually interacting with the resource server, we can use Postman. So coming over here to Postman, let's, I've done another video on how to request tokens and how to get this set up, so please go check that out. But just know that, we're doing OAuth 2 here. We're pointing at that same authorization server that I was showing you before, and we're just going to request an actual token as if we, were a true client. So let me clear my cookies here. We're going to say get a new access token. We're going to be prompted to sign in. Once again, this information is statically set. Let me get the username and the user password. I'm going to sign in. It's interacting. We've gotten tokens. You can see we've got an access token and an ID token. The access token is the one we are focused on today. We can copy that. You can also see that we did request the employee info scope so that that information would be injected. We can come over here to JWTIO. We can paste this token in, and sure enough, you can see that that was reflected. Just to kind of further enhance the demo here, we could come back. We could remove employee info from the scopes requested. We could get a new access token. I've already been authenticated, so I don't have to type in my information anymore. We'll take the access token here, we'll copy it, go back over to JWTIO, paste it in, and you can see that information was not provided because the corresponding scope that was mapped to those claims was not provided. So hopefully this showed you a little bit how you can inject information into access tokens using the profile editor in Okta, mapping those to a custom scope and then providing those via some custom claims. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out. Until next time, thank you very much. Have a great day.